Yeah.
Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness has appointed the offices of leaders in the parliament for the welfare of society, good of all human lives upon it, and the just government of its people, we beseech you to look with your abundant favor upon us, your servants, whom you have entrusted with the performance of such important trust in this community. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our attention and deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of this region and of those whose interest you have committed to us. Amen.
Item 1, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, good morning. Today is a painful day for everyone. It is a sad day, and I welcome you to this special sitting. I recalled the House for this special sitting under provision of Rule 10.2 of Rules of Procedure. I found it expedient that this House meets today to enable you, the member, to move and debate a motion through which this House registers its mark of respect to the late Right Honorable Eala Odinga, who passed on in India yesterday, Wednesday, 15th October 2025. The Honorable Odinga is an icon of democracy, not only in Kenya, but also in East Africa, the African continent, and the world at large. We shall also use the opportunity to commiserate with the family led by Honorable Mama Aida Odinga, the people of Kenya, and the gallant sons and daughters of the East African Community region. At a personal level to this assembly, he is a biological father to one of our own, the Honorable Winnie Odinga. But before the motion is moved, I request we stand in solidarity for a moment of silence. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
We proceed. Item 2, motion for a resolution of the Assembly paying tribute to the late Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, the former Prime Minister of Republic of Kenya, by way of motion.
Honorable Shabal, move your motion.
Mr. Speaker, sir, whereas on the 15th of October 2025, through a presidential proclamation issued by His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, the community land of the passing of the Right Honorable.
Proceed. Yes. Honorable Shabal, just move your motion.
Mr. Speaker, sir, my apologies. I beg to move a motion for a resolution of the Assembly paying tribute to the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, former Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya, moved under Article 49 and 59/1 of the Treaty and Rule 26 of the Rules of Procedures of the Assembly.
Thank you. Do you have seconders?
Yes.
All of the members are seconding you. Thank you. Now you can proceed with justifying
Thank you.
it.
Mr. Speaker, whereas on the 15th of October 2025, through a presidential proclamation issued by His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, the community land of the passing of the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. And whereas the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga served as Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya from 2008 to 2013, and in several other capacities, including as a Member of Parliament in Kenya from 1992 to 2013, and Cabinet Minister from 2001 to 2005. Recognizing that the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga served with passion and dedication as the High Representative for Infrastructure Development at the African Union Commission from 2018 to 2023, and appreciating the tremendous contribution of the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga to the political development of Kenya and his transformative leadership in Kenya, which led to constitutional reforms that include the introduction and implementation of the devolved system of government in Kenya. And honoring the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga as a tireless champion of democracy and social justice, and a charismatic political leader and Pan-Africanist who firmly believed in and acted to contribute to continental integration, as well as championing and implementing African solutions to African problems at the AU level. Cognizant of the provisions of Article 49(2)(d) of the treaty, which empowers the Assembly to discuss any matters pertaining to the community. And therefore it be resolved by the Assembly as follows: that in accordance with Article 49 of the treaty, the Assembly pays tribute to the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, former Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya and former High Representative for Infrastructure Development at the African Union Commission. That we honor the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga as a selfless champion for democracy, social justice, constitutional and political reform. recognizes the distinguished service of the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga to the Republic of Kenya, the East African Community and the African Union, commiserates with our colleague, the Right Honorable Winnie Imgad Odinga, the entire family of the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, led by Mama Ida Odinga, and the people and government of Kenya upon the passing of this distinguished and illustrious son of Africa. I beg to move.
Proceed. Will you justify it? Can you justify your motion? You can use this.
Mr. Speaker, sir, on behalf of the Kenya chapter and on behalf of the people of Kenya, I want to thank this distinguished House and yourself, Mr. Speaker, for giving us this great honor. Raila Amolo Odinga was a politician and an icon. But for us, for many of us, he was just Baba. And many of us knew him on a personal level. And we stand today to honor a great African titan, an East African patriot, and a Kenyan hero, our Baba. Baba sacrificed his entire life for the people of Kenya and the people of Africa. And he was one of those people who made everyone feel special. And everyone who spent any time with him felt like he was your father. And today, when you see millions of Kenyans crying, it is because he managed in his own unique way to touch everybody in a very special way. Baba made enormous sacrifices. He spent 9.5 years in jail, beaten, tortured, tear gassed, but he stood firm. He stood firm. And he brought us the democracy that we have today in Kenya. He brought us the peace that we have in Kenya. And in all his fights for democracy in Kenya, he never lost sight of the fact that he lived in a bigger continent. And his eyes were firmly set on the African continent. And for years, he stood out, speaking against the apartheid regime in South Africa. And he was very firm on this, to the point of even naming his daughter Winnie Mandela. And we have seen the results. He brought us multi-party. He brought us democracy. He brought us a politics of pragmatism. And he brought us a politics of reconciliation and peace in our country. Imagine, I too learned something very much from him. I learned the meaning of sacrifice. In 2022, I was running for governor of Mombasa. Unfortunately, we had a problem because in my party, there were 2 candidates. And the leaders of the party called for a reconciliation meeting. And I went into this meeting determined. There is no way I'm giving up on this campaign. And I went there confident that I'm going to win because I had a whole army of people behind me. And we sat there, almost 20 of us, waiting for Baba to come and find a way to reconcile us. And Baba walks in, grabs my hand. And Baba was a very strong man. When he grabbed your hand, you felt like as if he was arresting you. And he took me upstairs, 3 stories up. and sat down with me and told me, I know you want to be governor of Mombasa. I know how passionate you are about this. But my friend, I need you to do something for the country. I need you to forget about Mombasa for now. Let us fight for government. Because if we take government, you can do more for Mombasa. And I told him, Your Excellency, I want to change my city. He says, no. Kenya is more important than you and your ambition and Mombasa. If we take the government, you can do more for Mombasa. I repeated again, but Baba, I have thousands of people. They'll be very angry with me. He told me, and then he got angry. He says, my friend, leadership is not a popularity contest. You have to do the right thing. And I stepped down. And I'm telling you, for months after that, I could not sleep because I was thinking about the whole sacrifice that I've made. Now imagine a man who lost 5 elections, not 1, 5. And some of these elections we knew were stolen. But for the sake of the country and the peace of the country, he was willing to compromise and come to terms and kept the peace that we have in Kenya until today. What greater sacrifice can a person make? In 2022, again, we felt shortchanged. And we decided to come to Zanzibar. And Baba came with his family. And I remember on this day, everybody had disappeared. Even his family had gone fishing and swimming and all that. And I was left alone. Baba and I having lunch and one bodyguard sitting far away. And I was thinking to myself that had Baba won this election, there is no way we would have stopped thousands of people surrounding this hotel. He was there all by himself. Everybody had abandoned him. And we sat having lunch. And I didn't know what to say to him. And then I said to him, Baba, let us forget about these parochial politics of Kenya. I think you are now bigger than Kenya. Let us go for the African Union presidency because Mohamed Faki is retiring. And he just looked at me and in his usual, and I wasn't sure whether he had heard me or not. That night, as we were having dinner, again alone, he tells me, 44 African presidents are my friends. I think we can win this thing. As soon as he said that, I knew this thing has stuck to his head. When I got back home, I immediately talked to some of the leaders in our party and said, this would be the best thing for Mzee. And then the campaign started. And fortunately, our president, William Ruto, supported this thing. And Baba and Winnie traveled across 44 countries. Now most of you are young people here, and you know how tiring it is to go from one country. Just to go from here to Bujumbura by flight imagine traversing across Africa for a man of 8 years old. But he committed to it. And when the final moment came, and that election was done, we lost because Baba was betrayed by some of his closest friends for petty reasons. And they gave it to Djibouti. And I'm sitting with Baba there in Addis, and people are coming and commiserating. And I told Winnie, we have to get Mzee out of this. And we took him to Dubai. And you could see Mzee. Come on, imagine after all this campaign, how low you feel. But the next morning, Mzee woke up and said, let's go shopping. And we went shopping and we're walking around Dubai Mall. He was a completely changed man. I remembered that when we came back from Zanzibar after losing this election, and he was really down, and we got on that flight, and when we landed in Mombasa, the man was different. The man was bouncing. He was walking with so much confidence, and we walked into a meeting, and he said, the struggle continues. And we gave these guys, led by these people like Hassan Omar, my good friend, and Zipporah there, our opponents at that time, we gave them hell. But that was Baba. But then he united the country. Now you tell me, how many men do you know who can fall down and rise up again? That was Baba. And he never lost his humanity. And I'm sure my friends like Hassan Omar, like Zipporah, like all these people from the UDA side, whenever they met Baba, he greeted them like friends. No, he greeted them like friends. He greeted them like his sons. That was the beauty of the human being. Baba was a great Pan-Africanist. He supported Eala 100%. And every time I went back home and I briefed him about our problems and our challenges, he used to get very annoyed, and he used to try and call a few people to try and remedy things. And he had a special relationship with Tanzania. He considered Tanzania the home of Pan-Africanism, the home of liberation. And he had a great regard for this country, particularly for the late Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. And once, you know, countries occasionally go into tension, all brothers go into tension. And in the last regime, there was a bit of cold air between Kenya and Tanzania. And Baba reached across, came to see his friend, the late John Pombe Magufuli. And in no time at all, the relationships were back to where they were before. Mama Samia Suluhu described the late Raila Amolo Odinga as a great African, a peace-loving and solution seeker, whose influence and love were not only in Kenya, but in East Africa and Africa at large. That was Mama's tribute to. Today, as I look across, I see my friends, my honorable friends from South Sudan, proud representatives of the youngest nation in Africa. But did you know that back in 1960, John Garang was arrested in Kenya for entering Kenya illegally? And he was going to be deported back to South Sudan, where he would certainly have been shot because of leading the rebellion. It is Jaramogi, Raila's father, who ordered him released and sent him to Uganda. And John Garang continuously called Baba my brother. And I was with Raila the day South Sudan became independent. And we were there, and until he died, he was close friends with the President Salva Kiir and almost everybody in the liberation struggle of South Africa, of South Sudan. So in a way, he is your father too. If you look at the DRC, Baba was friends with Etienne Tshisekedi. So the relationship is intergenerational. And then he became friends with Felix, the current president. And it pained him to see the problems that DRC was going through, and the problems, how they were affecting Rwanda and Burundi and the whole region. And he desperately wanted to see if he could bring changes to this place. Uganda, he considered Uganda his second home. And he and President Museveni sometimes had a bit of friction, but this was the friction of two alpha males. But they respected each other. And if you look at the statements that Museveni did today you will understand how much of a titan Raila was. So, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for giving us this opportunity to honor the man. And today, Kenya is burying Baba. Baba has gone back to God. And last year, he gave a speech quoting the Reverend Martin Luther King. He says, I have been to the mountaintop and I have seen the promised land. And he says, I may not get there with you, but my people will get there. I called him immediately and said, Baba, do you know that immediately after that speech, Martin Luther King was shot? Please don't use that speech. And he laughed. He says, Niko shida gani? If you die, there are only two outcomes. Either you go to heaven, in which case everything is fine, or you go to hell and all your friends will be there. So he used to laugh about these things. But I personally take comfort from scriptures. And my Christian brothers and sisters here, when somebody dies, they will quote Timothy chapter 4, verse 7, where it says he fought the good fight, he finished the race, and he kept the faith. But that is not a prayer for the dead. That is a message for the living. It is a message for the living because it says that all of us have a race to run in this world. It doesn't say we have to be the winners. Only Jesus Christ is the Alpha and the Omega. But we have to fight the good fight. And what is the good fight? A commitment to your family. And Baba loved his family with a passion. Our sister Winnie was the apple of his eye. He loved his family with a passion. He had his own relationship with God. And he made his contribution to his country in a completely immeasurable way. What better way to fight the fight and to finish the race? And for us as Muslims, we have something similar. It comes from Surah Al-Fajr, where it says, Ya ayyuhal nafs al-mutma'in, irja' ila rabbika radiyan mardiya. It says, O you soul who is content, go back to your Lord satisfied, and he is also satisfied. What does it mean? It means that the day you go to meet God, you have done your obligations to your God, to your family, and to your community. And I am convinced, beyond a shadow of doubt, that our brother, our mzee, our father, has done his obligations. So today, Baba goes to his heavenly abode, and he will meet other African leaders. There'll be Jomo, there'll be Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, Kwame Nkrumah, Nelson Mandela, Jamal Abdel Nasser, John Garang, Patrice Lumumba. And they will welcome him and they will ask him, aha, Raila, how is Africa? And Baba will look at them and say, oh, we have a lot of problems. We have a lot of problems. But Africa is rising. Her back is no longer bent. Africa is proud. Africa is strong. And Africa has many sons and daughters who are strong and resilient. And they will make Africa proud and great again. That is the message that I am sure Baba is going to take there. So today, as we mourn, our tears, let us commit to keeping his dream alive. a dream of an Africa where democracy and social justice prevails, and opportunity is available to all. An Africa where her youth can dream and achieve those dreams. And an Africa that is prosperous, where nobody will die of hunger and sleep out in the sun. An Africa that is great again. So Baba, I say farewell to you. But back home, when a great hero falls, we send him with a traditional farewell. Joey, 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 Joey. Go in peace, Baba. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Shabal. It was so emotional. Baba is Baba. And honorable members, let's proceed by reminding you that the motion that we have on the floor is that this House do resolve to pay tribute to the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga, former Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya. It is now time for you to debate. The debate is open. Clerk, can you quickly take the names? Quickly, quickly. Did you take them all? I have been given Honorable Makame, Honorable Hassan, Honorable Zipora, Honorable Katpan, Honorable Mary Mugeni, but this is only the left side. We should be mixing the two sides. Let's start by is it the seconder?
Yes.
Oh, you have the floor first. Then after you, Hassan, Omar. Then Zipora. Then we go to the other side. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the floor to add my voice on this motion for resolution of the Assembly paying tribute to Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, the former Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya, moved by my brother, Honorable Suleiman Said Shabal, and seconded by the entire House. I just happen to be named in the paper as a seconder, but everybody, every member in this House is seconding this motion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yesterday was a very sad day for the Republic of Kenya, for the East African region, and indeed the Greater Africa, when we had the news that Baba Rao, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga has been promoted to glory. Mr. Speaker, many things came into my mind because you see, when you want to look at the Kenyan politics and try to analyze and maybe predict, it's always, if you want to look at the Kenyan politics and the Kenyan scenario, there is always the Raila factor. You can never ignore it. You can never talk about Kenyan politics without Rao. That has been that way. So now, with Right Honorable Raila not in the picture, there is a mist. You cannot see anything clearly now. Until this mist, at least it clears. Maybe. But now we are saying that it is a very, it's a very big loss to the Republic of Kenya, but also to the entire region of East Africa and Africa. And I'll justify my reasons why I'm saying that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me just to mention one thing, and I believe my brother, Honorable Shabal, will agree with me, that indeed here, there's a D in the resolutions, there's a name we have to insert. And that name, it happened, you know, when my brother he rose to move the motion, he went straight reading the motion. It's just because this matter has affected him and has affected all of us, but at different levels. He was much closer to Baba, as he was saying it himself. But we had also the opportunity to serve in this regional assembly with an elder brother of the late Raila, Dr. Oburu Odinga, who served in Eala 4. And he's now the senator of the county where the late Raila is going to be laid to rest. And also, from what the communication which I had from the Kenyan sources yesterday, is that he's the co-chair of the funeral committee, along with the vice president of the Republic of Kenya. So it's very important that we just add his name. This bereavement indeed touches him as well as it touches the other members of the family. Mr. Speaker, the mover of the motion spoke here that Honorable Raila had a very special relationship with East African partner states and spoke about Tanzania. Me coming from Tanzania, I'd like to affirm this. I'd like to affirm this by saying that Raila Amolo Odinga was a very unique person. He could relate to everybody and with everybody. Rich, not rich. Famous, not famous. Leaders and others. He used to be, indeed, the name they used to call him, that he was the people's president. Indeed, he was the president of the people's hearts. Raila, he used to come to Tanzania, and on a number of occasions, he visited to our late president, John Pombe Magufuli, in Chato, where he would spend time, prolonged time with him, like the time my brother Honorable Shabal did with him while in Zanzibar and in Addis. That's what Raila used to do with President Magufuli. And it was a relation that even President Magufuli went in the past. I'm just trying to loud this. He crossed over while he was a minister. He went to campaign for Eala. These are the kind of relations that we have. But again, on the 29th of June, as my nearest recollection, is that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga visited Tanzania. He was very tired, and he came because he felt that he was obliged to do that. And what did he come to do? He came for a wedding of a television presenter of Star Television. Star Television is one of the local televisions here in Tanzania. And there is a presenter there called Edwin Odemba. Edwin Odemba features his programs in political programs, and it's called Medani za Siasa. So Odemba was getting married, and Raila came as a special guest. And it was during that time that he repeated to say to the public, to tell the people how connected he is to Tanzania. And I'd like to share that with all the members of the House, is that in 1962, as Raila was almost approaching 17 and his elder brother was a bit older, Dr. Oburu, Kenya was still under the colonial rule. And His Excellency, the late Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, wanted to send his two sons abroad for studies. And the colonial administration did not want to grant them passports, because even the late Jaramogi Oginga Odinga himself was traveling using Egyptian passport. So Raila and his elder brother were sent down to Tanzania. They came to Dar es Salaam. And here in Dar es Salaam, in Tanzania, they were received by the TANU Secretary General, Oscar Salatia Kambona, who hosted them and were later taken to the chairperson of TANU, the late Dr. Julius Kambarage Nyerere, and they were issued with Tanzanian passports. And by then it was the passports of the Republic of Tanganyika, which were later updated to become Tanzanian passports after the union in 1964. And they used these documents to travel, to go for further studies in Europe. And they were traveling with these documents until they returned in 1965, after by then Kenya had already gained independence, and they got Kenyan passports. So we'd like to claim our Baba. He is ours. He's not only yours in Kenya. And that is why we are saying he's East African, because that is the narration from the Tanzanian side. There'll also come other narrations from other sides. The way my brother spoke very well. Actually, look at the eulogy given by the president of the Republic of Uganda. You'll just say, look at how Raila affected and contributed to the Republic of South Sudan. And General Garang, Dr. Garang, the late. So now, that's how you see Raila relating and connected to the entire region. And the wedding which I've just talked about is a wedding of a television presenter, a young man marrying. But Raila moved from where he was, because his mission in life is to touch the hearts and lives of others. That's what it has been doing. So today, Mr. Speaker, much as we are mourning, I'd rather say, let's not mourn. Let's celebrate the life of this African titan, an integrator, this Pan-Africanist. I remember his brother, Dr. Oburu, used to tell me about their trip when they came to Dar es Salaam, and they met some of the elders in Tanganyika and then in Zanzibar. And they were talking about PAFMECA, Pan-African Movement for East and Central Africa. They were groomed in PAFMECA by that time, as our countries were fighting for independence. And they were groomed to view that this region and this African continent cannot survive if we are divided. The only way we can make an impact and stand as Africa and reach far and sustain competition, which is very fierce, the global competition, is for Africa to stand together. Because Africa was disseminated by the Europeans during the Berlin Declaration, the scramble for Africa, the scramble and partition for Africa. So they've spent their time. Now, some of them are going, some of them are remaining, and we are now collecting the stick from them, trying to erase these colonial borders. Actually, they are not there. They are just imaginary. We are just living on them. And when we are perpetuating the thoughts of borders in Africa, is that we are perpetuating colonial legacy. Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't like to talk much. There's a lot to talk about this senior, prominent leader. Because Raila Tavares, in all life, he's pervasive. You see, if you're talking about politics, you're talking about social life. My brother talked about the issue of sacrifice and Raila. Mr. Speaker, you would agree that if you don't have a heart like that one of Raila, then probably Kenya would have been at war. Kenya faced some few challenges in 2007. We don't want even to talk about them now. But Raila always, the Raila factor always comes in and tries to clear the air so that people remain at peace. Mr. Speaker, allow me not to speak much, because if I continue talking, I will talk and talk and talk, and that would not be proper, because my other colleagues have to come and also eulogize with the late Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, Baba, Rao, may his soul rest in peace. And we are referring to the book of Job. Is it book of Job? Yeah? Yeah. They say the Lord has giveth and the Lord has taketh away. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, I will recall you this Article 36, because you would be taking much time and not allowing others to contribute. Please take maximum of 5. Takes the maximum of 5 minutes so that others can be facilitated. So now we will start with Hassan Omar, then Honorable Amongin, 3, Honorable Victor, I have mixed, 4, Honorable Zipora, 5, Honorable Sankok, 6, Honorable Gaptan, 7, Mary Mugenyi, 8, Ndangiza, 9, Honorable Falada. 10, Honorable Dodo Dongo. 11, Honorable Paul Musamali.
Mr. Speaker,
We also have 2 others. The
Mr.
chair-
Speaker, first on my behalf and on behalf of the minister who I was with yesterday, who is a political daughter of Raila Odinga, that is our minister's school. I want to sincerely thank you, first and foremost in March, for granting us a special sitting to discuss the bid of the late Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga. You have moved with similar decorum and respect, Mr. Speaker, to grant us this special sitting, and as a country and as a people, we are extremely grateful to you and to the East African Legislative Assembly. Just before I read the few remarks I had written, I just wanted to also have a personal reflection of my life with the late Honorable Raila Odinga. I met Raila Odinga way back in 1998 when I was expelled from the university as the president of the Moi University Student Organization. Where then he was Minister for Energy, or in a cooperation arrangement with the late President Daniel Moi, and he wanted to interrogate why universities were still victimizing students with divergent political views. That began a relationship between me and the Prime Minister until his death. We diverged and then converged again under the broad-based government. I owe literally my political career entirely, almost entirely, to God and to Raila Odinga. Through him, I became a commissioner and vice chair of the Kenya National Students Union, Kenya National Human Rights Commission. I was also the chairman of the Kenya National Students Union at some point. And through him, I also served as Senator of Mombasa from 2013 to 2017. I actually went to ask him honorably that your son has grown of age and your party has now too many forces that I probably find myself suffocated. So to allow me to start a new political career and a new political path, at which point I joined President William Ruto after the elections of 2017, where I now serve as his Secretary General. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, the former Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya, is a towering statesman by excellence, a Pan-Africanist and a patriot, and a champion of democracy whose life and service have left an indelible mark on the nation's history and will continue to define the trajectory of Kenya for decades. Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga's political journey, Mr. Speaker, spans over 4 decades of resilience, reforms, and an unwavering pursuit of democracy, a path that included 6 enduring years of detention in the struggle for a freer and more just Kenya. He entered Parliament in 1992 as Langata MP under the Ford Kenya, marking his rise in Kenya's multi-party era. A steadfast advocate for democratic and constitutional reforms, Raila made his first presidential bid in 1997 on an NDP ticket, solidifying his national stature. Raila Odinga's ability to navigate complex political landscapes and build coalitions in his pursuit of societal transformation with various political leaders have been a hallmark of his career. After the 1997 presidential elections, Raila merged the National Development Party, NDP, with KANU in 2001 to strategically bring reforms to the KANU administration from within, briefly serving as Minister for Energy before breaking away a year later to champion a new opposition movement, the National Rainbow Coalition, that ushered in President Mwai Kibaki's administration. Raila's defining moment came after the 2007 general elections when he contested the presidency under ODM. I was then in the same coalition with him, but contesting it, then serving as a human rights commissioner. The disputed outcome led to the formation of the Grand Coalition government, where he served as Kenya's second prime minister between 2008 to 2013. During this period, he championed governance reforms and played a pivotal role in the promulgation of the 2010 constitution, which reshaped Kenya's political order and constitutional order. He later vied for the presidency in 2013. That's when I was now also vying for senator of Mombasa under the CORD, that is the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy, where I also served as the co-chair of the coalition. And in 2017, under the NASA, National Super Alliance, and in 2022, under Azimio la Umoja. Though unsuccessful, his steadfast commitment to democracy, peace, and institutional restructuring has cemented his legacy as one of Kenya's most enduring political figures and a key architect of the nation's democratic evolution. In 2024, Right Honorable Raila Odinga surprised both friends and foe by choosing to work with President William Ruto in the formation of a broad-based government, a bold and unifying move aimed at fostering national cohesion and inclusivity. I was one of those who went to speak to him about joining the broad-based formation, and he said he did not want to lead a country where everybody else was dead, apart from the leaders. And that was the basis upon which he decided that to save lives and to save the nation from disintegration, a nexus between the government and the ODM was critical. This arrangement sought to transcend partisan divides by bringing together leaders from diverse political backgrounds to collectively address Kenya's most pressing challenges. Raila's decision reflects his lifelong commitment to dialogue, stability, and shared prosperity, reaffirming his belief that Kenya's most progress depends on collaboration at the table of leadership rather than streets of confrontation. We take cognizance of Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga's distinguished service as Africa Union High Representative for Infrastructure Development in Africa, where he spearheaded transformative projects aimed at enhancing regional connectivity and economic integration across Africa. His strategic vision and commitment to Pan-African development earned him continental respect and positioned him as a unifying voice for progress. His subsequent bid for the chairperson of the African Union Commission, which the government of Kenya sends its most sincere gratitude to members of the ESC, further reflected his enduring dedication to Africa's growth, governance, and unity, embodying his lifelong belief in an empowered and interconnected Africa. By way of conclusion, like great forebearers, I think Raila marches and strudes on the same pedestal as the dead and Kimathi Washiri, Kenya's utmost freedom fighter, Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, Nelson Mandela, John Garang, Gamal Abdel Nasser, Amilcar Cabral, Leopold Senghor, Thomas Sankara, Samora Machel, among others, whose vision of unity, justice, and dignity shaped Africa's destiny. Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga carried forward their torch, dedicated his life to the pursuit of a freer, fairer, and more prosperous Africa for Africans, and a devout Pan-Africanist by word and deed. In his lifelong advocacy and personal sacrifice, Baba, as we fondly refer to him, has been instrumental in expanding Kenya's democratic space, championing multi-party politics and reshaping the nation's post-independence political consciousness. His persistent advocacy for change, dating back to the struggle for multipartism, democracy, laid the foundation for constitutionalism in Kenya, an enduring legacy that continues to shape Kenya's democratic, social, and economic governance to date. In fact, one of my last conversations I had with him, I think in August, during the Chan, he said the non-negotiable minimum for those of us who transcended or came through the transformative background of Kenya's multi-party democracy and transformation, our non-negotiable minimum is the governance of Kenya. We might have a great economy, we might have everything else in place, but the governance is a non-negotiable minimum, according to Raila Odinga, and I do believe in that fondly. Beyond politics, his enduring vision for an equitable society, steadfast commitment to good governance and consistency, and consistent advocacy for empowerment of the underprivileged and economic inclusivity will continue to shape and inspire political and development causes for decades. As Shabal has put it, he fondly loved his family, he fondly loved his friends. I think he's the most accessible leader we've ever had. He has had an impact on everybody in Kenya's political landscape. If you have never met Raila Odinga, you've never been in Kenyan politics. William Ruto is a student of Raila Odinga. Many others are students of Raila Odinga. Therefore, on behalf of the party, the UDA party, and the party leader, and the President of the Republic of Kenya, and the Kenyan people, we convey our deepest sympathies to Mama Ida Odinga, Winnie Odinga, the family led by Honorable Oburu Odinga, the Orange Democratic Movement family, Kenyans, East Africans, and Africa in general during this difficult moment of grief. Kenya and Africa has lost one of their greatest sons, a man whose ideals, vision, and statesmanship will continue to illuminate and guide the nation and Africa at large in pursuit of unity, prosperity, and Pan-African progress. May the soul of Baba rest in eternal peace.
Thank you, Honorable Oma. Now I'll give the floor to Honorable Mongin.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I would like to add my voice on the motion that has been put before us as we condole and pay tribute to not only the people of Kenya, not only the people of East Africa, but the people of Africa for the great loss of a father not only of our nation, but of our colleague who sits with us in this particular house. And it's definitely very saddening to know of the death of Raila Amolo Odinga. Personally, at my new age, I would like to say that I met Raila Odinga when I was a student at Makerere University, Kampala, Uganda. And by then I was the president of the students of Uganda. And I happened to have been introduced to Raila Odinga by the Nigerian, or the late Tajuddin of Nigeria, who was championing Pan-Africanism in Africa. And I remember I was a very young girl, and Raila Odinga told me that, wow, your future looks very bright. And for me, I was like, okay, we are so many students here, but he's just said my future is looking very bright. That was very motivating for me. And every time I met Prime Minister Raila Odinga, he used to come to Uganda and he used to assure me that your future is still, it has just started. And I reminded him that when I was in Makerere University, you had told me that my future was bright. Then he said, no, that was then, but now it's even started. And I remember when we met at the US-Africa Summit, which by coincidence we shared a flight and our seats were next to each other to aboard to the United States. And also on return from the US, we were on the same flight and our seats were almost close to each other. I realized that he's such a wonderful guy. He was that lovely. If you looked at him in the face, you would think maybe he's tough. But when he interacts with you, you feel the fatherly touch. And I came to appreciate that indeed Raila Odinga was indeed not only a strugglist in the Kenyan context, but he had a passion, he had a vision, and I am sure he has done a great job and he has completed the race because that is what God needed him to have done. During the Africa Climate Summit, I remember Raila Odinga called me using another person that there is this young girl from Kenya who is so passionate about climate change. I hope she's around. And then the gentleman called me and asked me, the Prime Minister, Mr. Raila Odinga, was asking for you. And he was wondering whether you will be attending the Africa Climate Summit because we needed to include you in the arrangements. And I said, oh, thank you so much. But fortunately, I am already in Kenya. You can imagine someone remembering someone who unexpectedly, and well, I was so excited and I was so overwhelmed. So as young people, because as I speak here now, I'm not just speaking on because I'm sitting in this parliament. I am speaking because I know there are so many other people out there who who have been mentored by Raila Odinga, not by him knowing them, but just by what he did. I would say, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the resilience in Raila Odinga cannot be underestimated. And I think that he deserves a big applause for that, even if he's lying somewhere right now. And I want to believe in him, in the children that he has brought up, the children of his womb, because sincerely, a hen will produce a hen, and a goat will produce a goat. If the resilience that Honorable Raila Odinga had, I am sure among his children, one of them will take over the mantle. In him, I learned a resilient person that when you want something, you go for it. It doesn't matter the havoc on the way. It doesn't matter whether you don't get it, but at least you would have learned a lesson. And that's what I cherish from the Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And definitely, I know he always clings to leadership. But sometimes it's for the good that we lose. And it's not that we lose intentionally. It's just that probably something else is not meant to be for you. At the African Union level, as a Pan-Africanist, as an advocate on Pan-Africanism, strategic leadership, and democracy in Africa, you cannot talk about all this in Africa without referring also to Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, in a nutshell, as we eulogize the lifestyle and the commitments that Raila did when he was still alive, I would say we have a lot to learn, and we have also a lot to unlearn. When I'm in my constituency in Uganda, when I was a member of parliament in the National Assembly, every burial when someone dies, they only talk about the good deeds. Only about the good deeds, because people fear to tell you your problem, your challenges, and your mistakes when you are alive. They only wait for you when you die. Then they start saying, even when someone was a thief, they say, oh, he was a good man because he has died. Let us learn to talk the truth, that in A you scored, in B you did not score. For me, as a politician, I know politicians fear to be told the truth. But sincerely, politicians are those people who deserve to be told the truth. Because for us, we are lied full time by people, because we appreciate those who lie. I think Raila Odinga always appreciated the negative criticism. That's why you see most of the time he would come together with his opponents and say, no, for the purposes of Kenya, let us come together. People would criticize, but for him, he would have done a great deal, because stability in Kenya means stability for the rest of Africa. May Baba Raila Odinga's soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you. Now the next is Honorable Victor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the floor. I raise to also join my voice to my colleagues to contribute to this motion aiming to paying tribute to His Excellency Honorable Raila Omolo Odinga, the true son of Africa, who passed on yesterday. I am deeply saddened by the passing on of a giant of Kenyan politics, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, whose life has inspired many, many people and touched numerous hearts. Once again, I extend my condolences to the family, to the country Kenya, to East Africa, and to the entire Africa. His Excellency Raila Odinga leaves behind him a legacy of many contributions, impactful and inspiring achievement as a symbol of Kenyan pro-democracy struggle defined by a lot of resilience, sacrifice, and dedication. a champion of multi-party democracy, good governance, and human rights. May his soul rest in eternal peace, and may we honor his memory by continuing to strive for greatness. My prayers are with the bereft family and fellow Kenyan. May they find strength and peace in face of this enormous loss. I thank you and I support the motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Victor. Let's give up to the next, who is Honorable Zipporah.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. I want from the onset to congratulate or thank the person who has come this motion that is actually meant to be for today and this particular time. Right Honorable Speaker, as an East African from Kenya, I join my brothers and my nation to mourn the passing on of a true son, not only of Kenya, not only of East Africa, not only of Africa, but of this world, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, who was not just a leader, but he was a true heartbeat of democracy. Right Honorable Speaker, as I stand here today, and as the mover of the motion, like he spoke there, was actually trying to balance and to talk about the party of the late and the party UDA that is ruling in Kenya. But at this time, Right Honorable Speaker, I can tell you, we go across the parties and we go beyond the parties, that all of us are truly mourning this true man today. Right Honorable Speaker, Raila Amolo Odinga, having contested 5 times and losing, has taught us a lesson, not just in Kenya, but to all of us, that he really meant and he really had something that I believe we are burying him with a dream that he had. But how I wish that one of his kinsmen can carry the dream, and one day we realize what really Raila Amolo Odinga wanted for Kenya. Right Honorable Speaker, Raila Odinga has actually contributed so much in the Kenyan government. The fact that he loses elections at every time that he contests, it doesn't just go back to sit, to behave like he just wanted a seat, but he will always come back and kind of put his input in whatever way, either throwing it through the window, bringing it through the back door, but by the end of the day, it will work. Raila Amolo Odinga contributed to the constitutional reforms. Raila Odinga is known to be a real passionate of devolution, and he's always followed that to the letter. Right Honorable Speaker, the sacrifices that Raila has done has made Kenya to find our own voice. I can imagine that as Kenyans and all of us might have judged him harshly. And maybe that one is reflected by the fact that he contests and is not given the seat. But it's like God used him. That even during his last days, Raila Amolo Odinga has actually been at the top in shaping the political landscapes in Kenya. At a time that the country was so down that the agencies were almost taking over, Raila stood up as an older man. And Raila stood up and showed that he cared about this nation. He was a selfless man. Right Honorable Speaker, today I join each and everyone to mourn this icon, a person who has left a great legacy that is built on love for people and unwavering faith, and the dream to unite a prosperous nation. Right Honorable Speaker, as we have our sister, Winnie, that is in the heart of mourning as we speak today, we stand with her, with the entire family. We shed tears together and together with the family. And Right Honorable Speaker, I would wish that as we mourn this great man, let us buy some of his virtues to come to this community so that as we steer the community forward, we remember that he had a lot that he would have done to this particular community and Africa as a large. I stand to support this motion and to mourn Raila Amolo Odinga, Kenya, and Africa as a whole. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now the next, Honorable Sankok.
Let me start by thanking you.
Your microphone. This one.
Let me start by thanking you, the Right Honorable Speaker, for giving us as Kenya and East Africa a chance to mourn our great son by calling upon this special city. We will not take it for granted. Thank you so much, the Right Honorable Speaker. The scrutinizing eyes of the Kenya political landscape have closed forever. The king of democracy is no more. The oasis of Pan-Africanism has dried. The Prince of Peace, who made peace with his own worst political enemies, have rested. Honorable Speaker, Raila Amolo Odinga was the proverbial cat with 9 lives. Imagine losing an election 5 times in Kenya and 1 time in the African Union Commission. And every time he will emerge stronger than ever with a very, with a phrase, higher, higher, higher. The Right Honorable Speaker, we will remember that phrase forever. He loses, but he'll emerge stronger than the winner. Honorable Speaker, without fear of contradiction, I can say Tinga, Agwambo, and Bokobol, and Baba Raila Odinga have been the longest serving president of Kenya, whether you call him the people's president or otherwise. He have served with President Moi, served with President Kibaki, served with President Uhuru Kenyatta, served with President Ruto, always leading half of Kenya, so he's like a co-president. He have served Kenya as a co-president for 43 years. So cumulatively, he have served longer than Moi, he have served longer than Jomo Kenyatta, he have served longer than Uhuru, and he have served longer than William Ruto, who have just served for 2.5 years. Honorable Speaker, is an enigma of Kenyan politics. We mourn a great person, a great man. Honorable Speaker, he was almost a whisker away from being the chairman of African Union Commission, the African president. Though he had served as the African Union High Representative for Infrastructure. Therefore, I can say Africa have lost, but heaven have gained, because they have gained a great son. We don't have somebody who have gone there, heaven, and come back. So we don't know what is happening there, if there is any politics to be played there. But I'm sure if there is politics there, then the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga will be a major player. On my own behalf, on behalf of my family, and on behalf of the entire Maa nation who live in Kenya, United Republic of Tanzania, Zambia, and Malawi, we condole with the family of this great African. To my sister Winnie Mandela Odinga, we are with you and your family at this trying moment, and may God protect you like the apple of his eye. Mama Ida Odinga, I only put her in God's armpits because I feel her pain. I know what she's going through. May the soul of Raila Amolo Odinga, Tinga, Agwambo, and Bogobol rest in peace. Joey, 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 Joey.
Thank you. The next is Honorable Gapton. Point of information.
Just for the purposes of record of the House, in the Luo culture, which some of you also share, joy is a phrase which is used in mourning. I can see Honorable Odongo nodding his head in concurrence, just so that the assembly does not think some of the members here are just shouting or shouting. So himself, Raila Odinga, will mourn anybody by saying, "Joy, joy." So I think it's so when somebody shouts joy, just answer back, joy. Meaning I do not know.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Omar. Now, Honorable Captain.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the motion and to join our brothers and sisters from the Republic of Kenya, the political leadership of the Republic of Kenya, for this huge loss. Our region has lost a statesman, a Pan-Africanist whose ideas have transformed the political governance, not only in Kenya, but also the African continent. A man whose heart was filled with forgiveness, reconciliation, and humility, and whose political philosophy shall continue to be appreciated by many for eternity. The Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. Right Honorable Speaker, we are mourning a man whose fight for constitutional transformation has fundamentally changed the Republic of Kenya legal and social structures to address the deep-rooted inequalities to achieve radical social, political, and economic development. We saw this when they worked together with the late President Mwai Kibaki. Kenya was transformed in the shortest period to transition to a middle-income country. Many of us who fought for our liberation, war of liberation, like in South Sudan for many years, we did not expect to see countries transforming itself within the shortest time possible when the leadership prevailed. He did that with the late President Mwai Kibaki. Kenya now is an example of a transition country in Africa, an example of a progressive democracy where many are able to land. And this is because of nobody's else ideas, but the ideas of the late Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to join the rest of colleagues to pay my deepest condolences to our colleague, Honorable Winnie Odinga, our dearest colleague, Dr. Oburu Odinga, Mama Odinga, and the Kenyan chapter. As we stand with all Kenyans, we want to pray that the Almighty God rest the soul of the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga in eternal peace. I submit, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Mary Mugenyi, and then Ndangiza.
Right Honorable Speaker, I stand first of all to thank you for organizing this special session. I also want to thank the mover of the motion, the Honorable Shabar, for your thoughtfulness and your friendship, and a good motion that you have moved about a man that we all respect, the true son of Africa. Mr. Speaker, sir, today we rise in sorrow and in solemn respect to pay tribute to one of the greatest sons of our region and our continent, the late Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, whose passing yesterday in India has left Africa poorer and all of us deeply bereaved. Right Honorable Raila Odinga's life was in every sense the story of courage, conviction, commitment to justice, and we can go on and on. Born in 1945 in Maseno, Kenya, he inherited from his father Jaramogi Oginga Odinga the unyielding belief that freedom must be fought for and that democracy must be defended at all costs. This we learned about his father, Jaramogi Odinga, in history, those of us who did the African history. So I grew up to find his son in the same fight and cause. Throughout his long and eventful political journey, Raila Odinga remained steadfast in pursuit of democracy, accountability, and unity. He endured imprisonment, persecution, and exile, yet never abandoned the cause of his people. His resilience became a symbol of hope for millions across Kenya and the African continent. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, Raila Odinga's influence went far beyond national politics. As Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya from 2008 to 2013, he provided leadership at a critical time, guiding his nation through reconciliation and reconstruction following a painful period of post-election violence. And here I must say that during that terrible election, our two children, Winnie, the Honorable Winnie, who is his youngest child, and my son were classmates in a school in the Rift Valley, in a place called Molo, St. Andrew's School. And so we were faced with a similar dilemma of our children being in a place where actually the conflict was most intense. So his courage to place peace above pride and nation above self will forever stand as one of the most noble acts of statesmanship in modern African history. In his later years as the African Union High Representative for Infrastructure Development, Raila Odinga Raila Odinga championed the dream of a continent connected, one where roads, railways, and energy corridors link not just markets, but people and opportunities. He understood that integration was not a choice, but a necessity for African prosperity. Indeed, he was a true East African. He believed passionately in the ideals of our community, from free movement of people, shared development, and collective progress. His voice consistently reminded us that our destinies are intertwined and that borders that divide us are far weaker than the bonds that unite us. Right Honorable Speaker, in the life and service of Raila Amolo Odinga, we find a reflection of our own aspirations as East Africans, particularly as East African representatives. The pursuit of justice, the courage to speak truth to power, the unwavering belief that our continent deserves better governance and greater unity. He was not a perfect man. Of course, no leader is perfect, and no human being is perfect. But he was a principled man whose life's work has left an indelible mark on the political, social, and moral fabric of our region. Today, as we pay tribute to his memory, let us also dedicate ourselves to the ideals that he stood for: democracy that is real, leadership that serves, and integration that uplifts all our people. To his beloved family, Mrs. Ida Odinga, and especially our dear colleague, Honorable Winnie Odinga, who was by her father's side at the time of his passing. By the way, that's a gift from God. We extend our heartfelt condolences. We thank you, Winnie, for your strength, for your grace, and for standing so faithfully with your father to the very end. May you find comfort in knowing that his spirit lives on through you and through all those that he inspired. And to our former colleague, Senator Oburu Odinga, the elder brother to the late Raila Odinga, a good man, a very, very committed man, dedicated man of integrity, whose lifelong bond with his brother exemplified true family devotion and service to the people. I mean, those of us who knew our former colleague in Eala 4, Dr. Oburu, you would not talk much if you knew that you knew the brother without actually bringing in Raila Odinga's story and his politics. Very dedicated son of the family and leader, I think, of the family as well. I also want to pay tribute and also to send my sincere condolences to a family friend, the Honorable, who is now Governor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, through whom I first came to know the late Raila Odinga more closely than even when our children were together in school. And here I think I need to tell a short personal story. So sometime back, I was in the Parliament of Uganda, and I think I had come out of government. And Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, who's been a family friend for really many ages, he calls me. He was Secretary General to the party that Raila was leading at the time. And so he calls me and says, Raila is coming to Uganda. He will be in Kampala on this and this day. And I would like to request you to receive him, drive him around, and take him to the appointments that he wants to go to. And of course, I did not know how Uganda stood in terms of Kenya politics. I was not sure. And I tend to want to be careful, tread carefully, you know. So he asked me some of the offices he mentioned, a few, but he said, please, and I would like you to drive him yourself. Meaning, I should not just give him to a driver, I should drive him. So, picked Raila from his hotel. I took him wherever he wanted to go. And really something that I wanted to mention that surprised me most was that then at lunchtime, when it came to 1 o'clock, he said, I want to go to a restaurant somewhere in the Kasero, where actually now we have been taking you, but that was my first time to know St. Anthony's restaurant, a very local restaurant, food restaurant, which I did not know myself. And I said, but I don't know this restaurant. How come? Because, you know, the elite restaurants where you think you should take former Prime Minister of Kenya, the character of Raila Odinga, does not fit this restaurant that I've never been to. How come? So he said, of course, now there is Google. We found a restaurant. Those of you who have been there, plastic chairs, really something that you would not expect to fit the character, the image of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. But guess who was there? The who is who in politics of Uganda. But also the love to mix with people. So we did not only find the who is who that he wanted to meet on that day, but also the ordinary people. It was a people's restaurant. To me, what did I learn from that? He is a people's person who is used to going to ordinary places, even to be able to meet the people. So I really want to say that the entire continent is mourning with Kenya. The people of Kenya are mourning. We are all touched in one way or another by the life of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, his impact on Kenya, on the East African region, and on the African continent. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Rest in peace, the son of Africa. May your soul rest peacefully.
Thank you.
Honorable Ndangiza.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. At the outset, I would like to start by thanking Honorable Shahbal Sulaiman for the motion to commemorate Right Honorable Raila Odinga, the former president of the Republic of Kenya. Sorry, Samahani. I hope you remove it from the Hansard. Yeah, the former Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya and the High Representative of the African Union in charge of infrastructure development. I would like at the onset to convey my heartfelt condolences to our brothers and sisters from the Republic of Kenya and to the government for the untimely loss of this towering giant who has committed his life to the service of Kenyans. I would also like to condole with His Excellency, the President, President Ruto, and also thank him for giving him a befitting funeral, state funeral, and allowing the Kenyan people and friends of Kenya to mourn him for 7 days. This is very significant. Right Honorable Odinga is part of the Kenyan history. You can never talk about the history of Kenya, whether it's multi-party democracy, whether it's constitutional enactment, and we know that Kenya has a very progressive constitution, without mentioning Right Honorable Raila. He was the champion of democracy in Kenya. He was a champion of constitutional reforms. He remains an African statesman, a patriot, a Pan-Africanist, a reformer, and also the father of devolution in Kenya. Because, and you know, devolution is so significant because it is giving power to the people. That power belongs to the people, decentralizing resources to the people, and Kenyan devolution is among the best, or maybe the best practices that we can all learn of. And this is a tribute to Right Honorable Raila Odinga. He'll be remembered for many things, but I want also to make some reflections about his life. And Honorable Suleiman, when he was talking, he said that whenever he met people, he touched people in a unique way. In 2022 August, I had the opportunity, together with my colleagues who are in the Regional Affairs Committee, because, you know, whenever we observe elections representing East African community, the head of mission are normally former heads of state or former prime ministers, and the deputy head of mission is the chairperson of Regional Affairs Committee of Eala. So with that privilege, the head of state, the former head of state of United Republic of Tanzania, His Excellency Jakaya Kikwete, was the head of mission, and I happened to be the deputy head of mission. And being at that level of leadership of a mission, you interact with high-level political leadership, from the president to the presidential contenders. And we had an engagement with the Right Honorable Raila Odinga on the eve of election. And you all recall that Kenyan elections were so competitive. And in fact, even on the eve of election, there was a case in court whether to go manual or digital or both, by both UDA and the coalition of the opposition. And yes, when we met, when we participated in one of his meetings as heads of observation mission, we were a bit many from Africa and the rest of the world. But on the second day, maybe before I reach there, I want to, yes, on the second day, after election, we interacted with him. In fact, he had come for swimming. You can imagine, with that stress, he had time even for sports. So I think we are all challenged that there is no excuse. Even when you have stress and leadership, even after an election as so competitive as the Kenyan election, so close to call, he had time for sports. So I accompanied the head of mission to interact with him. And of course, you could, looking at his face, he was stressful, but he had time for us. And what struck me is that despite the official introductions, he was so humble and down to earth. And he took time to ask me where I come from. And he happened to know most parts of Rwanda. And for me, I found a man who was so humble and down to earth and had time for everyone. And no wonder that he has inspired and touched the hearts of many Kenyans. On the day of election, again, we visited 2 sites. One was at Starehe at the opening, but we also visited another one in Kibra, where the Right Honorable Eala was casting his vote. And it was historic because this was his former primary school. But of course, the entire world was there, the media, international and regional. But what surprised me is that getting a place to stand was so difficult because everyone was waiting for him, and there was a big number of young people who accompanied him, to an extent that it was so difficult for him even to get space to go and vote. So for me, what I saw in him is that he was an inspiration to the young people. And after voting, many of these young people, I think, didn't even go to vote. They were happy to accompany him, say Baba, Baba. And so you imagine how was he able to inspire everyone. At his age, he inspired thousands of young people. And in a hotel where I was living, there were young people who told me on the day of announcing results that they were not ready to work because what if Baba lost? So what came into my mind was to say, if this man lost an election, what will happen in Kenya? Because of course, apart from observation, apart from free, fair elections, you're also looking at peaceful Kenya after election. But even when he lost, less than 2,000. I remember the first time I saw Honorable Suleiman was at Bomas of Kenya, when results were coming in, sometimes going to midnight. Now, when he lost, there was tension in the country, but he decided to go to the courts to contest the results. And for me, that was a statesman who put the interest of Kenyans first above his own interest. And he has demonstrated that all his life, including the handshakes with his former rivals for the sake of Kenya. So, Right Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, as we stand with the people of Kenya and the entire East Africa to pay tribute to this giant of Africa, the epitome of democracy, we should also be comforted that he had a rich legacy, a legacy of leadership. He has taught us that being a leader doesn't require titles. So even if you don't add Prime Minister, Baba is enough, his name is enough, and he stands up because he has made a remarkable achievements, not only in the lives of Kenyans, but also in Africa, but also his sense of sacrifice, putting the interest of his people above his own interests. I want to say that we wish to comfort his family, Honorable Winnie, Honorable Dr. Obur, and the entire bereaved family. But we continue mourning, but at the same time celebrating the rich life of this giant. He has left a footprint in the history and politics of Kenya and Africa. And I don't think you can talk about history of Kenya or politics of Kenya without mentioning Raila. He will go in the annals of history, but more important, he will continue to inspire the current generation and the future generation. May his soul rest in eternal peace. And as Muslims, we always say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun. To God we belong, and to God we return. Thank you.
Honorable Falada.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to convey my condolences message. And thank you, Honorable Shabal, for this motion. And allow me, Honorable Speaker, to join my colleagues to extend my condolences on the passing of an enigma person, Honorable Raila Odinga. And Kenya and Africa has lost a true statesman, a visionary leader, a champion for democracy. His courage, wisdom, and unwavering commitment to justice will continue to inspire generations. May his soul rest in eternal peace. May his family and loved ones find comfort during this difficult time. Honorable Odinga was more than a political leader. He was a statesman, a freedom fighter, and a tireless advocate for democracy, justice, unity across our region. His unwavering dedication to the people of Kenya, the entire East Africa and Africa at large, to the ideas of good governance and equality that has left an indelible mark on our continent. His vision and sacrifice inspired generations, not only in Kenya, but throughout Africa, where he stood as a beacon of resilience and leadership in the struggle for reform and inclusion. On behalf of this House, Eala, I extend my deepest sympathy to the family, friends, especially our colleague, Honorable Winnie Odinga, and the people of Kenya. May his soul rest in eternal peace. May his legacy continue to guide our efforts towards a more democratic, peaceful, and prosperous East African community. And one most defining chapter for Honorable Raila Odinga's legacy was his ability to rise above political rivalry in the interest of the nation. His recent collaboration and partnership with Dr. William Samoei Ruto in advancing the unity and stability of Kenya stand as shining example of mature statesmanship and patriotism. Honorable Speaker, together the two leaders, once fierce political competitors, put the interest of the country above personal and political differences. Their willingness to work hand in hand for national healing, cohesion, and development reflected a deep understanding that Kenya is greater than any individual or party. This spirit of reconciliation, unity, and forward-looking leadership rekindled hope among millions of Kenya, and strengthened the foundation of peace and national harmony. It also sent a powerful message across Africa that true leadership is about building bridges and not walls. It's about uniting people and not dividing them. Honorable Speaker, allow me to add, as I stand here, I wanted to make a bit of a confession that as soon as we finish the plenary here, we were supposed to meet Honorable Raila Odinga, and with the help of Honorable Honorable Shabal was making an appointment to go and see Honorable Raila to speak about the crippling of this East Africa community and the problem we are facing. So, as we say in Islam, kulla shayn, kulla nafsal daqatul maut, every soul shall taste death. But Allah loved him more than we are willing to meet him, Honorable Speaker. Thank you so much.
It's not easy. But let's proceed with the next, who is Jojo Dongo.
Right Honorable Speaker, first of all, I want to thank you for granting the move of this motion, the extraordinary opportunity for this House to pay tribute to a great son of Africa. I also want to thank the Honorable Shabal, the move of this motion, and all of you, honorable colleagues, for coming here and really paying tribute to our great leader. I want to send my condolences to the family of the late Prime Minister Raila Odinga, particularly to our colleague, Honorable Winnie Odinga, and my very, very good close friend, Senator Dr. Oburu Odinga. Many of you who are here in Eala 4 know quite well how very close I am to Dr. Oburu Odinga. And through him, I was able to have very, very friendly interactions with the late. Some 6 years back, through Dr. Oburu, I received a couple of calls from the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga when they were commemorating 25 years of their father, Oburu, Dr. Odinga Oginga. And through me, they sent invitations to leaders in Uganda. And we successfully traveled to Kisumu to commemorate and celebrate the life of their father. Right Honorable Speaker, power is fleeting. And power is a derivative. In Africa, power is a derivative of many, many factors. So there are those who derive power from the military. There are those who derive power from religion. There are those who derive power from cults. You even have traditional leaders. They derive power from their traditions and practices. But power is nothing without control, and power is nothing without purpose. So it is at your discretion to use power. But legitimate power is power that is derived from the people. And therefore you exercise it in the best interest of those from whom you derive that power. That is legitimate power. So when you have a legitimate leader, that is the kind of leader whose power and influence is used purposely for the greater good of the people. For the years of the late Baba, he has exercised this power in the best interest of the people of Kenya, in the best interest of the people of East Africa, and indeed for the people of Africa. Baba has used this power to shape the governance landscape in Kenya extensively. The footprints and the fingerprints of Baba are all over Kenya. And they will remain indelible for so many years. Because Baba invested so much in using the power that he derives from people because people trusted him. You can't be powerful if you do not have an element of trust, particularly if you have legitimate power. So because people trusted Baba, Baba invested the trust that people had in him to work so hard to make sure that he shaped a Kenya that worked for all. He fought for the freedom of the people of Kenya. He was so passionate about freedom and equity. So when you see a progressive constitution that Kenya enjoys, it's because Baba and his colleagues fought for it. When you see Kenyans expressing themselves the way they do, I have told people without a doubt that Kenya is a towering example of real democracy. It's a country where, irrespective of your opinion, you are able to thrive, you are able to express yourself. Not even in Europe these days do you see that, not even in America. But in Kenya, you are going to see people with differing opinion expressing themselves. That is the freedom that Baba fought for. It's the freedom that did not exist in the 80s. It didn't exist in the 70s. It only existed after the progressive constitution of Kenya was put in place. And thank you so much that one of our colleagues here was a member of the Human Rights Commission that put in provisions within that constitution to guarantee and protect the rights of people, including those that are expressing dissenting views. A man of extraordinary courage. And courage is not the absence of fear. Baba was a man of extraordinary courage. He spoke truth to power, sometimes even bordering on recklessness, because sometimes he put himself on harm's way. But he did it knowing that he was doing it on behalf of the people of Kenya. So that quality of extraordinary courage is a quality that he has bequeathed to generations to come. He has inspired many to speak truth to power. But most importantly, the courage to subordinate his personal interests. On many occasions, Baba had the opportunity to run away for self-preservation. He had the opportunity to negotiate his personal interests. But he had the wisdom to do what in law we call the balance of convenience, looking at the consequences of your decisions and placing the country.
Proceed, Honorable Speaker.
Proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I raise point of procedure to extend, because now it's one, and a rule of procedure that we cannot proceed without extending time because of this important matter. I'm raising a motion that we extend the times so we can conclude this important matter. I raise.
Do you have seconders? Honorable Makanore Sadia, Msamali Sankok. So, honorable members, I put the question that those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Proceed.
Right, Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, Kenya has lost the black box of Kenya's struggle for freedom and democracy. You have lost a true embodiment of Pan-Africanism, a man whose influence transcended boundaries of our states, a man who was a Pan-Africanist both at heart and in action, a man who continued to shape the Africa that we want. I extend my deepest appreciation and respect to the family for giving us the best export ever that we have had, that Raila was not just a Kenyan, but he was our export to Africa, to the world. And today, we celebrate his legacy, we celebrate his work. I propose, Right Honorable Speaker, that in the tradition of this House, that we also plant a tree like we did with our fallen colleagues. We plant a tree and continue to water and nurture that tree in memory of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. I support the motion and condolences to the people of Kenya, condolences to the Kenyan chapter, condolences to the family. Winnie Odinga, may his soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Jodo Odongo. The next is Honorable Msamali.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice on this very important motion of paying tribute to our fallen Pan-Africanist, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. Right Honorable Speaker, as already said, the Right Honorable is not only the father to our colleague here, the Honorable Winnie Odinga, is also a brother to our former colleague here, Honorable Dr. Oburu Oginga, whom I used to sit with here in this house in the Fourth Assembly. So I am personally closer to that family by virtue of that association. Right Honorable Speaker, the fallen Raila Odinga was an epitome of struggle for liberation, not only in Kenya, but in the entire Africa. Because this continent of Africa, it has a lot of problems, especially in terms of governance. From the time of colonialism, before colonialism, misrule by the chiefs themselves, then slavery, and then colonialism, and now neocolonialism. So, Right Honorable Speaker, with such challenges, if we are all the time robbed of leaders, the kind of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, we are bound to remain in a vicious circle of conflict. But during his time, Right Honorable Speaker, we salute him for leading a struggle for liberation of Kenya and the democratization of Kenya, which many African countries have learned from in terms of governance in our respective countries. Right Honorable Speaker, the fallen Right Honorable Odinga was a man of reconciliation and tolerance. He was, in his struggle for liberation, he was on several occasions tortured, imprisoned, but when he came out of prison, even when he was tortured, he still reconciled with those who tortured him. He reconciled with those who imprisoned him, and they formed the government, and they were able to govern with minimal disturbances, Right Honorable Speaker. Because if someone robs you of your election, or someone has tortured you, has imprisoned you, if you are not a tolerant person, if you are not a person with a big heart like that of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, you will not work with him or her. But he did that, and that's something which we should learn from. But even those who keep torturing others, they should also learn that they should not continue torturing people, because it is not something that you really derive any satisfaction from. Right Honorable Speaker. The last one, Right Honorable Speaker, which I want to, my last point to submit, is about the mystery of life and God's way of work. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm aware that we do not make applications to come on earth, and therefore even to live, we may also not have permission to live. But God has authority over us, Right Honorable Speaker. For example, the Right Honorable Raila has just passed on at 80. But recently I was watching a TV documentary, and in the newspapers, Japan is celebrating, has people in their hundreds who were celebrating 100 years and above. And they were all looking strong, just like the Right Honorable Raila has been. The late president, former president of USA, Jimmy Carter, died at 100 years. Right Honorable Speaker, today, the president of Cameroon is 92 years and is running for re-election, meaning that his term of 7 years will end when he is 99 years. This means that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga was still too young to go and live with God. Now the question is here, the problem which I have now with God is that he failed to control Satan in heaven and dropped him here on earth. Satan, we have struggled with Satan here because God has brought him here. Satan fought with God in heaven and brought him here on earth. Now, now God is taking all the good people who would help us to fight the Satan he left here. So the concern I have here is, why is God taking these good people when we still have a lot of work to do? Right, Honorable Speaker. We have a struggle to do in terms of bad governance. They have taken him. If we had, supposing he had taken him before 1982, this constitution of Kenya, would it be there? No. So he knows very well that we still have a lot of work to do here. And he should not just be taking people anyhow, without consulting us. If we consulted us, we would tell him whom to take. There are useless people on us here. Including Satan. We say, now take this one. Exactly. So, right, Honorable Speaker, much as the Islam, I did get it very well. He said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. We come from where? And it is where we shall go. But the question will be, what time? Because even when you're at the airport, there's a time for departure and arrival. We don't say now, okay, we came from you, but tell us when to go. For me, if we were to go after 100 years, we shall celebrate that life. You get it? Because we still have a lot of work to do here, right, Honorable Speaker. So anyway, I don't want to say that I have, of course, I have a concern, and but I have no control over how God works. But given the fact that we have a lot of work, we want to pray to him that let him spare people and take him, as much as we know that he also wants good people. Does it mean that those of us who remain here are bad people? We are not. So let him allow us to do work, especially when we still have a lot of work to do, right, Honorable Speaker. So I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity, but I also want to thank God in a mysterious way for giving us the Right Honorable Raila. He played his role. Maybe what we can learn from him is that while he was alive, he played a very, very pivotal role in the liberation of Africa and of Kenya and Africa. And what we should learn from him is that while we are alive, we should play a part in terms of the challenges that we face us. And of course, this one I learned it from the famous scholar, Franz Fanon, who said that every generation must, out of abstract obscurity, discover their mission and either fulfill it or betray it. The Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, while he was alive, he played his part. It's a lesson to us that we still have challenges. We should also play our part. May his soul rest in peace. I support the motion, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, you know that we have a function at 2. And before that function, some members would wish to have their lunch. And it is now 1:20. And I still have members who want to contribute. And all of them are from South Sudan. We have Honorable Sadia, who were there before others. We have Honorable Woda and Honorable Kim Guy. But we have DRC, Congo chapter, that have not contributed yet. If you are accepting it, I give the floor to DRC and to Sadia, who were there before. Honorable Chair, you have the floor. DRC.
Oui. Vous avez ça pour suivre.
No, procedure. No, procedure.
Quelle procédure?
Procedures, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is a special sitting, meaning it's a parliamentary sitting. And the only language that is recognized in our rules and procedure is English until we amend. We are in the process of amending, but we have not yet amended.
Okay.
Speaker, right Speaker. Hello. Proceed, Honorable Speaker.
See there.
Proceed, Honorable Speaker.
Right, Honorable.
Yeah. Yes. Right, Speaker. I don't know why our brother Sankok being again, since we have a translator, and we have paid a tribute to our late Prime Minister. Let us allow our brother from DRC to use the language they know. Right, Speaker.
Order.
Right, Speaker.
Order.
I'm on floor.
Order.
Speaker, I think
Can you sit, all of you?
Procedure.
Take precedence.
Procedure. You read the rule.
Order. Take
Read the rule.
precedence.
I'm on point of procedure.
Honorable Kim Guy,
Be overturned by order.
No,
You need to know.
never.
Honorable Kim Guy, Honorable Amongin, sit first. Honorable members, I give the floor for 1 second to Honorable Kimigai, then Honorable Amongin, and we proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, although our treaty are very clear and our rule of process was very clear in the issue of the language, but this one, it is a special sitting. And it is only one member who are going to express himself by friend. And while Speaker, we have our translator, and we are going to listen what he's saying. I think Honorable Sankok, and we are coming from the Kenya. Let our brother from DRC say what they want to say. I speak.
Thank you, Honorable Amongin.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I had stood on a point of order, and I know that this is not the first time that we've lost someone in this parliament, probably, even prior to my coming probably to this house. A sitting of parliament and a condolence on the floor of parliament is a full parliamentary sitting and should be treated as so. And in this particular house, our rules are very clear on the language of this assembly. Right Honorable Speaker, I am wondering whether we are in order at this particular moment to now revert to French when actually our formal language is English. In other words, would you want to like us to suspend the rule? If we do that, then probably that can work. But as of now, procedurally, Right Honorable Speaker, I think that your ruling is very paramount in regards to the procedure of this house. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I will start by responding to Honorable George Odongo, who had requested us to plant a tree. But I think it would not be in order because we have, it's not, we would not plant it, but we have lost so many leaders in the region. We have lost President Mwinyi, who died. We have also lost President Mkapa. Even my President Nkurunziza, he died. I think that if you had to plant a tree, it could maybe bring some issues. This is for George Odongo. For today, when I came in, I found that kind of things on this table. And because I thought that someone lost it, maybe those who were here before, I didn't know that it was for translating. That I took it and I put it, I hide it there,
because I didn't know what it means. In any meeting that I participated in any meeting I participated in, I have never been informed that Eala had been given translators, that Eala had been given, I don't know. This is new. It is as if I was ambushed here as your speaker. And I do not wish to bring noise and discussions and today. It is a special sitting and it is a sad day. Please, let's rule as we have been doing before. But when officially we will be informed that now translation and everything are now in order, we will officially start using them.
Yes.
Look, I did know what this was for here. I just came in, I found it there. Because I thought someone had lost it, I took it, So honorable members, I apologize for DRC chapter, but I hope that because this is now there, very soon we will get everything in order. So Honorable Sadia, 1 minute and we conclude.
Procedure, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker.
Procedure.
Yes. Right Honorable Speaker, this is a special sitting to paying tribute to one of our greatest leaders. So I think it will be in order to give those who really want to speak. I'm one of the people who stand here first, and I don't know how the order of the picking members has been done.
Honorable members.
I think we have the right to.
Honorable members.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
If you want all of you to get the floor, I'm willing to go to midnight. But let's consider others. We have a function at 2. I'm not frustrating any of you. Even DRC has taken it as it is. I had seen that Sadia had there before you, because your paper, it's the clerk who brought it. But the clerk had not even seen DRC. So Sadia, you have the floor, 1 minute, and to be maybe good for all, order 1 minute.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. On onset, I would like to thank Honorable Shabal for bringing the motion. As noting all contributions made by my colleagues, I would like to say that if never giving up for a just cause was a person, Baba was. In a world full of hypocrisy and despair in politics, the life of Baba has demonstrated to us that politics is about greater good of people, and that was he. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like on onset to say that the life of Baba is giving us a life lesson, especially for us Africans, especially countries that are undergoing governance issues because of political crisis. His life is telling us that peace over power. That is to say it, as said by my colleague, Musa Malik. We need politics of reconciliation and tolerance. We must tolerate each other. given our political background, for the sake of the people that we rule. So his life has really, touched so many. Being in a opposition party, I'm really touched by the way of how Kenyan politics is. So on that onset, as politicians, as leaders, may his life, may the life he lived well in managing multipartyism and also in mediating, may the spirit be upon us. And I pray that may his departure also, give us solutions to our problems, especially countries that are undergoing political crisis. And to us, young leaders of Africa, he will be remembered as an icon of leadership and democracy, because indeed, he has really fought the race. And with that, we will always remember him. And I pray that my prayer is, may thousands emerge like him for the sake of our African unity. And as a believer, I believe that his soul may be rejoicing with angels in heaven, because he has done justice to his purpose on earth. All of us are having purpose on earth to live for. So what are we doing with our purpose on earth? He has really done justice to his purpose on earth, and may his soul rest in perfect peace. With that, Right Honorable Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Sadi. I give the floor to Honorable Ngate.
If my point, I don't know. Yes, I think the event is very important for East African region, because Odinga is the symbol of unity, the symbol of integration, the symbol of what we want to express for our development. I think it could be given the opportunity to a country also to express a point of view. We cannot understand where the micros, where we have the translators, where the meeting held here in French and in English. Yeah. Only if you are here, we are obliged to not to express our point on why are you the translator in the micros. I think, please, Honorable Speaker, I want to give the opportunity to my chapter chair to express our point of view at this event, while as we have a translator. Thank you very much.
Now, Dr. Oda.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for considering putting me in the list. As I said, I was one of the people who stood first, but I think going on from here, we should see the order of picking the names. Right Honorable Speaker, today as we pay tribute to the Right Honorable Raila Omolo Odinga, a man of honor, a man of dignity, a man of the people, a man who preached democracy all his life, and a real Pan-Africanist. Right Honorable Speaker, for us as people of South Sudan, his support started since the days of the struggle. In 2010, Right Honorable Speaker, he was one among the leaders when he was the Prime Minister who urged the international community to support the independence of South Sudan. And that's why we are an independent country now, because of his support and the support of other leaders from the region. Right Honorable Speaker, for us South Sudanese, Baba Raila is a father, he's a brother, and he's a real son of the land. As all of us know that the Luo people from Kenya, they migrated from Bahr Ghazal from South Sudan. And that's why we consider him a son of our land. Right Honorable Speaker, his last visit to South Sudan was in 28th of March this year, and he came to help resolve some of the tension which arose at that time. Right Honorable Speaker, during the referendum exercise, which I was the director of operation for that exercise, he used to come to support as one of the leaders who really was supporting South Sudan. In 2019, Right Honorable Speaker, or 2020, during Eala 4, we went to Kisumu as members of the Agriculture Committee. And because my good friend and our colleague, Senator Oburu, was among the members of that committee, the late Right Honorable came and visited us. And when Senator Oburu was introducing me to him, he said, this is our sister from the Luo land, because I come from Cholo Kingdom, and this is part of the larger Luo community from South Sudan. Right Honorable Speaker, when I wrote one of my books, which is called The Person of Dr. John Garang, Dr. Oburu Oginga was one of the people whom I consulted and interviewed, because I've done a lot of research and interviewed some leaders who were close to our leader, Dr. John Garang. And I got to know that how close they really supported the movement, especially him and his family and his late brother, Raila Odinga. My heartfelt condolences to our dear sister, Winnie, Mama Aida, and our brother, my good friend, Senator Oburu, whom I have tried to call yesterday, but they were boarding the plane to Nairobi. And I know that it's very hard for him, as mentioned by Honorable Mary, that whenever he spoke with us, he always bring his brothers, the Right Honorable Raila, because they were like twins. They did everything together and they were in the struggle together. Right Honorable Speaker, let me quote from the Bible. When it says in Revelation 14:13, verse 13, that blessed are those who died in the Lord, for from henceforth, says the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors and their works do follow them. Definitely, the works of the Right Honorable Raila will follow him. And as we say, as Luo, that we don't mourn when somebody die in his caliber, but we celebrate his life. And definitely we are celebrating the life of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. May his soul rest in peace. I submit, and I condole with the people of the Republic of Kenya, all the citizens of East Africa and Africa at large. I beg to submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Order. I now give the floor to Honorable Sabal.
I am the last on the list. In the record, I'm the last person on the list.
Okay, you can have 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, also, I stand up here to support the motion raised by my colleague, Suleiman Shabal. And also, before I read my statement, Honorable Speaker, I want to say this October, I think is a bad month for our leaders in Africa. Mzee Jomo Kenyatta dies in October. Mwalimu Julius Nyerere dies in October. And Thomas Sankara also dies in October. And Muammar al-Gaddafi has been killed in October. And finally, our great leader, Prime Minister Raila Odinga, also dies in October. I think this October, we have an issue with our leaders on Pan-Africanism. I think we need to think on this month, Speaker, carefully. I wake up to a shock news
of the passing of Right Honorable Raila Odinga yesterday, Right Honorable Raila Odinga stands as a defining figure in Africa contemporary democratic journey. His leadership, courage, and unwavering commitment to inclusive government have not only shaped Kenya political landscape, but have also inspired citizens and reformists across Africa and East African region and beyond. Right Honorable Odinga's life is a testament to resilience in the pursuit of constitutional integrity, accountability, and human dignity for all. Born into a generation of activists and public servants, Odinga's political path has been marked by a steady vocation of urban democracy. Through dialogue, legal reform, and peaceful competition, he has consistently championed the rule of law, the primacy of civil liberties, and the importance of institutions that serve the people rather than just the powerful. His work has helped expand political space, encourage citizen participation, and elevate a democratic norm in circumstances that tested both courage and resolve. Rwanda Odinga's influence extends beyond national borders. In Kenya, his advocacy for electoral reform, transparency, and robust government has catalyzed reform that reverberate across the region. Its leadership has underscored the principle that democratic gain and more lasting when they are built on inclusive participation, due process, and inter-ethnic dialogue in the East African community. His ideas have reinforced shared in remembering Raila Odinga. We honor a life devoted to democracy advancement, not only in Kenya, but across our region and beyond. His legacy invited us to deepen our resolve to protect democratic gain, to ensure inclusive political process, and to continue building an East African community where every citizen voice matters. Every vote counts, and every person can aspire to future defined by opportunity, dignity, and peace. Beyond Kenya border, Odinga engagement with the regional peace and government has left a lasting imprint. Notably, his steadfast support for South Sudan first to independence and his unwavering advocacy for peace have contributed to conversation about stability, governance, and reconciliation in our broadest region. His efforts exemplify the belief that democracy is the most enduring when it's linking to durable peace and shared prosperity. As a statement man of enduring consequence, Right Honorable Raila Odinga demonstrated that democratic process is a collective enterprise, one that calls for solidarity among nations and vigilance against the erosion of civil liberties. His work as reminding neighboring countries and regional partners that democracy is not destination, but a continuous journey demanding principled leadership, accountability, and sustaining citizen engagement. A personal note of continuation and continuity, I have long-standing working relationship with the Odinga family in our sharing parliamentary journey. I serve with the Honorable Senator Dr. Oburu Odinga, Raila Odinga elder brother in Eala 4, and I am presently in Eala 5 alongside Raila Odinga daughter, Honorable Winnie Odinga, who was in India at the time of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga passing. These ties underscore the familial and political bond that unite our region for pursuit of democratic government and public service. Their leadership across the generation has inspired my own service here in the East African community and Eala, and reinforced my belief in Kenya and region that thrive when leaders rise to meet the aspiration of their people with humility, courage, and unwavering commitment and to justice. Honorable Speaker, finally, this challenge to us now is what would be the state of democracy after him. And even if I ask my good colleague from Kenya now, how Kenya is going to look in terms of democracy, who are going to be a leader of opposition in Kenya, I think Kenya have a very difficult time that to produce not only opposition, but to produce a good leader, to be a leader of opposition in coming days. And I think Raila Odinga is an example for some of us in South Sudan who are not believe in peaceful democracy manner. And I think this is a lesson we need to take from the Republic of Kenya, that because some of us, when you are disagree with the government, like Honorable Paul Musmale said, you just go to bush and take gun. But Raila Odinga is not the one who encourage our people to in region to do that one. So, Honorable Speaker, here the challenge to us now is what would we be the state of democracy after him, not only in Kenya, but across our region. Raila Amolo Odinga remain an icon and enigma, a symbol of courage and champion of dialogue, and a reminder that leadership must be accountable to the people. May African God bless him.
Thank you. Now, Honorable Shabar.
Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity again to thank you for calling for this special session and to the Commission for allowing it. And I want to thank on behalf of our country and our people to all the members who have honored us by granting us this session. And though our sister Winnie is not here, I know I speak for her when I say thank you to all of you who spoke so favorably about her father. Let us not lose sight of the fact that, you know, we look at Raila as this big, towering giant of a politician, but to her, this was daddy. So on behalf of Winnie, on behalf of Dr. Oburu, thank you very much. And my brother Makame, Honorable Abdullah Makame, says, let us not mourn, let us celebrate. I agree. But let us mourn a little bit first. Allow us to mourn, and then we will start celebrating later. Listening to all these speeches that have been going on, it is crystal clear that our past and our future are inextricably linked. And if we really honor this man, let us commit to promoting his values and his ideals and his vision for a greater Africa. So I want to take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Dr. Abdallah Makame, the Honorable Hassan Omar, the Honorable Jackie Amungin, Honorable Victor, Honorable Zipporah Kering, the Honorable Sankok, Honorable Gideon Katpan, Honorable Mary Mugenyi, Honorable Ambassador Fatuma Dagiza, Honorable Falhada, Honorable George Udongo, Honorable Musamali, Honorable Sadia, Honorable Dr. Wada, and Honorable Papa Gate, who did not speak, but I knew what was in his heart and what he wanted to say. Honorable Ngatia, Honorable Kim Gai, and everybody else who did not get the opportunity to speak. Mr. Speaker, I thank you again. I thank you, all of you, and let us move this motion, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Shabal. Thank you, Honorable Shabal. Honorable members, we are mourning today a great man, a great leader, a man who has been tortured many times, has been jailed many times, have been humiliated many times, but who remained human. He was a great leader. He was humble. He was friendly all the time, in a sunny day and in darkness night. He has remained a good man. So, honorable members, now I have to put the question. The proposal on the floor is that this House do resolve to pay tribute to the last Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, former Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya. I now put the question that this House do resolve to pay tribute to the late Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, former Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those to the contrary say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, before I adjourn, I have two communications. One, from the chair of Agriculture Committee, who's informing that a lunch is served outside in the tents for members. Second, I don't know if I have to apologize or not to some members, because this House is governed by rules and procedure. Translators. I don't know when these translators have been recruited. No one informed me about that. I don't know if they have expertise or not. I don't know which type of contract they have signed, if they have signed it. And from here, I will go immediately to ask for information about this issue. How can you, by a surprise, tell me we have translators or we translate? It's not possible. Of course, I would be happy And I'll be happy when we get them. If I found that they have been duly, properly recruited, I will enjoy having this next plenary with translators, committee activities with translators. I'd be proud of that. But I came in this house this morning without any information. That is why.
Information, Speaker. Do I have the floor?
No, you don't have. That is why I will go to try to get information about all of these things after this. Honorable members, with these remarks, I adjourn this House sine die. Thank you.
Yes.